Writers. You've thrown a problem in front of your character. They either solve it or they don't. But how to make their solution, or their failure, interesting? One way is with a yes but or no and structure. I'm not sure if Brandon Sanderson invented this writing advice, but it certainly gets attributed to him a lot, so I'm at least going to mention his name right here at the start. The idea is that you always want to be raising stakes and making life hard on your character. Either they succeed, but some bad thing happens, that's the yes but, or the character fails and another worse obstacle gets piled on top of everything that's bad. That's the no and. But for this video, I want to forget about the big overarching plot, and I just want to apply the yes but structure to small scale interactions, individual scenes, to make those moments pop with reader interest. On page 55 of Bauchelain and Korbal Broach, Inspector Gould wants to speak with the suspicious and eponymous necromancers. Gould is ready to bust into their room, but standing in his way is their hapless but stubborn manservant, Emancipor Reese, who has been told to act as a human do not disturb sign. Gould wants answers, Emancipor wants to keep his job. What to do? First, what not to do. Here's the yes, nothing resolution. They argue that Emancipor lets Gould in. Boring, meaningless. The reader loses what little respect we are meant to have for Emancipor as well. Or perhaps a no and nothing resolution. They argue, then Gould leaves. Again, boring, meaningless. All the tension's deflated, and Gould certainly doesn't seem to be very driven to solve the crime he's trying to solve, does he? And finally, a yes but solution, which is of course the solution that actually happens. They argue, then Gould proposes that Emancipor can save face and keep his job if it looks like he fought valiantly but was defeated. He'll have to get knocked about for real to make it convincing, but it might work. This is a much more interesting outcome than the entirely yes or the entirely no outcomes. And I am kind of doing it from Gould's perspective, like yes, Gould made it into the room, or no, Gould did not make it into the room, but that's what we're going to go with for now. You can kind of look at it from either character's perspective though. So I consider it a yes but because Gould does get what he wants. He gets into the room, but he has to do some violence to an innocent to get it. Another but is but Emancipor saves face, which is also interesting. It doesn't look like he backed down, so he can probably keep his job. The yes but solution is excellent because it gives value to the argument that they had between the characters by making it feel like the build-up to an unexpected solution. Arguments and fight scenes by themselves can be boring, but an argument that transitions into an interesting solution, much better. It reveals character. Emancipor can hold his ground, and Gould can show compassion. These features both make both those characters much more well-rounded, showing sides of them that we hadn't seen before. It includes some bruises for a character, literal or figurative or both, and that's so important because there should be a cost when a challenge is faced and overcome successfully or unsuccessfully. There should be a cost either way. And finally, it gives the reader a sense of satisfaction. The solution isn't grand or complex, it's just, a bit of play acting to set the stage, but it's more complex than a yes-no alternative. So what about a no-but solution? Or you might see it as a yes-but from Emancipor's perspective. What might that have looked like? Basically, what are some alternatives that we could have done with this scene? So Emancipor could have snitched or promised to be a double agent in exchange for Gould pretending to be driven off. That would certainly set up some interesting possibilities in the future. What would happen to poor Emancipor if the necromancers find out that he's acting on behalf not of them, but of the authorities? I bet you can come up with other yes-but solutions to this particular scenario and try it out. Tell me what you got in the comments. Or apply it to a situation in one of your own books. A little while back, I was beta reading for a writer friend of mine, and she has an excellent novel. The whole thing is quite well polished. It's got an interesting premise. However, my main problem with it was that there were 4 or 5 scenes throughout where the protagonist had a problem, and they just kind of bullied their way through the problem. And there was no real clever solution. It was just a yes solution. They just got what they wanted. There wasn't even hardly a cost. It was just yes, no yes but. And my feedback was, look, you gotta add some kind of more characterization to these interactions. You gotta make it tougher on your protagonist to get the results that they need, because right now it just looks like everything just works out for them, right? And I think this is exactly the technique that that writer needs to apply into those particular scenes. They don't have to change their overarching plot, because there are challenges that the protagonist faces, and they're difficult, and they ramp up and all that good stuff. But on an individual scene basis, I want to see something more than just, well, they try and they succeed, they get what they want. We need to have some sort of contrast there, or some sort of third alternative route between just the yes and just the no. Now I say it's a third, but like, you set up these yes-no questions, there's gonna be a yes or no answer. So it's just a question of sort of adding that seasoning on top of, okay, well, what's the twist to the yes, or what's the twist to the no? It occurs to me that in a first draft, every word seems to serve one purpose. But in subsequent drafts, when the words and sentences are revised such that everything begins to serve more than one purpose. You're never just driving the plot forward with a sentence. You're also revealing character. You're not just describing the setting, but you're laying clues that are going to be relevant later on. The yes but or no and approach is a way to get you thinking about layering on the meaning and purpose in your words in earlier drafts, hopefully producing more interesting writing along the way. On page 55 of Bauchelain and Korbal Broach, Inspector Gould wants to speak with the suspicious and eponymous necromancers.